Hi, Social Work 674. This is Dr. B's Week 10 check-in video. Today is November the 2nd, and if you enjoy or participate in Halloween, I hope that you had a nice Tuesday evening. Um, and today in my culture is El Día de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. So if you don't know a lot about El Día de los Muertos, I encourage you to look up, some videos on El Día de los Muertos. It's traditionally a day where it really comes from indigenous spiritual practices. Um, in particular, El Día de los Muertos, for us in Mexico, is really influenced by Aztec and Mayan cultures. Um, but it is a day of celebrating those that we have lost and our continued connection with them. And so, for many indigenous communities, that relationship with ancestors is very important. And unlike some very Eurocentric views, when somebody dies, the idea, very Eurocentric view of death and dying is that there's a separation and that we need to let go of the person in order to move forward. And in indigenous cultures, it's quite the opposite. Those that we have lost become um, our ancestors. They guide us. They come to us in different ways, in dreams, in just in thoughts, in many different ways they come to us. And a lot of indigenous individuals practice practice different spiritual traditions, or spiritual practices, excuse me, ceremonies, um, to keep that connection with their ancestors and to gain guidance from them, those sort of things. And so El Día de los Muertos in Mexico and other Central and South American countries is one day. It's actually 2 days. So November 1st, El Día de los Niños Muertos, it's the day of the children who have died. And you traditionally do an altar for children, especially of children in your family who have died, even if at some point in history. It doesn't have to be somebody like a child that died recently, but you might include them in your altar with their picture and provide, things that would have been important to that child. So if it's a child that died recently, or that you might still have things of that child, like a favorite teddy bear, toy, those sort of things you would include on the altar. Or or you could just include things that children would like. And if there's not a particular child that you're thinking about for your altar, you could still make an altar for children, but you would include things that children would like: candies, toys, games, those sort of things. And then November 2nd, El Día de los Muertos, is considered a holiday in Mexico and Guatemala and other countries. There is no school. There is church services. There's a lot of times individuals celebrate through parades, by going to the cemeteries and bringing food to their loved ones. A lot of times altars are made at home as well, with the deceased person's pictures and things that they like. There's things that are included, such as the person's favorite candies, their favorite foods, all of those sort of things are included in there. And when you go to the grave, you go to the cemetery, you might bring food that the person enjoyed and share it with them at the graveside, where they're buried. So it's a beautiful celebration, and it's very colorful, and there's a lot of skeletons and skulls that are painted in beautiful bright colors, because the idea is that death is not the end of a relationship. Death is not the end of the person. It is a different way of it's another phase, and it's a different way of communicating with our loved ones, but that they're still there. And, if you get a chance to take the grief and loss elective in the program, we talk about that as well, in terms of, these new concepts of things such as continuing bonds, right? The importance of prior thought, again, Eurocentric theories of grief and loss centered on letting go of the person, cutting those ties, severing that relationship in order to heal and to move forward. And what we know is that that's not the case. I mean, for many people, that continuing those relationships in a new way, it's very important for that person's healing and being able to move forward in their lives while incorporating their love for this person and incorporating that relationship, but doing it in another way. And so I just want to bring that up because, this is Dia de los Muertos. This is a spirituality class. If you don't know a lot about Dia de los Muertos, I encourage you to go on YouTube and watch. There's a lot of great videos on YouTube. I will, under this announcement, I'm going to put a link to one that I encourage you to watch. So anyway, it's great chatting with you all. Good job on week 9 discussion post on ethical dilemmas. I think you all did a really good job at looking at the Code of Ethics and seeing what it says about how to address the dilemmas. There's some really good things about a woman, a Muslim women that wear the veiling, right, and the hijabs. And there's great stuff about not having female translators when you're working with Muslim female clients. I mean, you guys had some really good insights and a really good, you did a good job of looking at the Code of Ethics and looking at how that would apply to the particular dilemma that you chose. So good job there. This week, we're going to continue looking at religious and spiritual traditions, but this week we're focusing on Christianity, Judaism, and it's really important to consider, as I mentioned in previous videos, that there is more diversity within groups than between groups. So because we think, oh, we're talking about individuals that are Jewish, they must all be the same. No, there's a lot of different, groups within the Jewish community that have very different beliefs and practices and traditions. So it's really important. And even those that, let's say, belong to one subgroup of Judaism and belong to one particular thought of Judaism, does not mean that they all have the same traditions or practices or they're all the same. So it's really important to keep that in mind. The other thing I wanted to remind you, and I'm looking at it right now, is your interview presentation is due during week 13. So hopefully you have already, at this point, met with your interviewee or are about to meet with them and do the interview so that you can start putting together your presentation. I just want to remind everybody that the actual presentation is not the video of you with your interviewee. So if you're going to do audio or video, if your interviewee signed consent for audio or video, that's only to be used for the purpose of that is only for you to have that for your own recollection when you're working on your presentation. The presentation is not the actual interview. That's not what you're uploading. Your presentation, I've talked about this in previous videos, so just, but make sure that your presentation there is a template that is included that you can use for your PowerPoint presentation. There's certain things that are required. As I've mentioned, I've discussed this in previous videos, so please make sure and go watch those. And if you haven't seen the previous videos, there is several where I talk about the presentation in some more detail. I don't remember which week, but they're there. And so make sure that the presentation is a PowerPoint presentation where you're addressing your findings and answering the prompts for the assignment from the assignment guidelines. And you are able to use direct quotes from your interview with your interviewee in your PowerPoint presentation to help support your findings, but no video or audio can be used to protect your interviewee's right to confidentiality and privacy. So if you use quotes, that's fine, but don't do a video or audio, don't include a video or audio. So if you're recording, it's only for your own, for you to have notes for it. If your interviewee said that they don't want you to record, then make sure that you, or audio or video, make sure you take really good notes. All right, that's all for now. If you have any questions, please send me an email. And like I said, I have discussed this assignment in the beginning of the semester, and I know a couple weeks ago I did another video where I talked a lot and I went over each of the, each of the points of the assignment guidelines. So go look for that if you haven't seen it. All right, y'all, take care. Bye.